Welcome back to the channel. This project is a little bit sad. In the title I didn't want to put building a casket, but that's really what this is. We have a stray cat we've had for at least 12 years, and the cat was, full grown at the time, so I don't know how old she is. She's still alive. She has a tumor. Her face is swelling up. She can't see out of one eye. I don't really have the heart to put her down. It's tough. But I want to think ahead a little bit, that we have a small little graveyard for our pets that we've had. We've had, fish, hamsters, that kind of thing, and another cat. And so we want to place her over with the little graveyard. But I don't want to wait to the time when she actually passes to, think of this. So I guess I better make one ahead of time. I don't want to throw her in a cardboard box, that kind of thing. And so I want to make a casket. I'm going to call it a box. And I think I went out and I looked in my pile. This is at Culpack of lumber. We bought a couple Culpacks. It's got, water-soaked ends. There's cracks, checks, splits, tongue and groove. I got 2 pine tongue and groove that look to be 12-footers. I got 1 8-foot shiplap, rough cut inside, smooth outside, doesn't matter to me. But let's design something here. Like I said, I want to think ahead a little bit and plan this so that at the point when we have to do it, I'm not all upset over, trying to make something and be in a rush. I don't have a lot of time anyway, but I don't want to rush it so much. But if we, I don't even know the size I need. The cat isn't real large. She's lost weight. She's actually gotten smaller. She's got a long tail. Real pretty, the black cat you've seen in the video. Her name is Lucky. And I called her Lucky because she came to our home. She looked like she was homeless, and so we fed her, took her in, and she's been a good cat. So if we want to start somewhere, we probably should start with, say, the sides. And this is already shiplap. They're 3/4 of an inch thick. The lap is a heavy 1/2 inch. This spider, go away. So if we do a side, I don't know the dimensions. My guess is this paper, probably 11.5. This 10.5. Well, I'm thinking if we go even 16 inches, we'll go 16 inches long. The shiplap itself is 7.25. So if I do a little drawing here, it's opposite edges shiplap. So the full dimension was the 7.25. If I did inside only, is 6.25. So that would be 6.25. And then, if I did one edge, it'd be 6.75. So probably that's, deep enough, my guess. So if we do 6.75, and we cut off one edge, we're going to need the table saw. So the side view of what we're going to use is I'll keep the side long. That would look better. The shiplap coming in, and then I'll do a flat square top on it. So that's what it'll look like. 6.75 by 16, and we need 2 of them. The end, they're sighting in across the street. Good timing, right? It's not a very large cat. I want this dimensional. I don't want it being a square box. So if we were 16, I would say if we went maybe 10 inches wide, probably that should be plenty wide. And dimensionally, it looked pretty good. So if we did even 11 inches might work, because the tongue and groove is 5.5 total, 5.25. So if I did the tongue and groove, I could probably do 5 1/4. I can't quite get 11 out of it. But if we did the outside dimensions at 11, it'll end up being 10 1/2 if we use that. So if we do the ends and we do the height of 6 3/4, we'll do the ends at 11, and then we need 2 of those. That's basically building a box. So we're gonna side view again. It's gonna look the same. So why don't we go ahead and cut these up? We'll cut this off, or maybe I'll leave that on right now, because if we did a lid on it, I could set a lid down in there. Maybe it'd be better. Let me draw both pictures again. It would be this drawing up here. And I'll go ahead and cut the lengths. We'll do it on the little chop saw here. There's a little damage on this board, so we'll adjust as needed. And it's starting to sprinkle outside, so we might have to move it in. The saw is set square. Yeah. I think the battery has enough charge in it. We'll cut off this bad section. I don't know, battery don't have a lot of charge in it. So, I'm going to drop my little router here. See how much you can see here. We're going to back up here. We'll do the cut mode. So if we do the 16 inches long, we're not making a lot of pieces, so I'm not making a jig or anything. This blade sounds a little worn too. There's number 1. Cut some 16s. And then, you know what I haven't thought of yet? Why don't we do this also? That's going to be annoying during a video, but what if on the end, this is the bottom, and then if we did the top the same, we'll just leave them alone. But what if on the end we mitered them? So it would look like that, and then when I join it, I won't have some ugly end grain. So I could lean this over before we get too far in the deal here. Put her at a 45. Well, I was hoping they wouldn't make a lot of racket over there today. What do you like? Do you like the rough side or the smooth side? I kind of like the rough side, but maybe I'll keep that. Line that up on my mark. And if we get a decent looking miter, that blade and the battery are down. So how about we do the same thing on this side? Our actual length we can compare once we get this done. Probably should change that out before the video. So we're probably down 15 1/2. And then we'll go ahead and do our next one the same way. We want to keep the rough side. So I hope you don't think I'm a little morbid, if that's the right word, for thinking ahead and doing this. I'm just, that's a nice lab cat. She follows us around outside. She really is a pretty good cat. And once you get attached to one, you don't want to to mark this. You don't want to be mean to her. I can't put her down. I have trouble doing that, you know. Yeah, I think I'll just measure and do it. We're actually like 15 3/8 now. And I'll turn her back around. Colpack lumber has a little high moisture content. I'm going to try to save that line. I have a 12-inch slide Hitachi saw. It's got a lot of power. It's electric. And this is easier. I'm outside. So what I like to do is line them up, stand them up. There we go. So here's our sides. And then, like I said, I wish they were both on the same side. So I might end up cutting that off. But we'll see. And now we're going to do the ends. We've already got one that's backwards. So we got to recut this one. And this wooden table makes that sound real hollow, but now the ends we wanted about 11 inches. I like to use pen because it's nice and sharp. Get a nice crisp line. And then I got a nice crack coming on here, so I probably, I don't know, how far does it come down here? We're into it a little bit, but I do want to cut that off. I think we might be alright. Maybe. I'll try it. I've had a, it doesn't look square. How come? Did it move off my line? Probably. Either that or sometimes you get a little bow in it, you know. I don't know if you heard that, but we got a blue jay that's been hanging around here. And then you can take your piece and do the same thing, lining that up too. And this isn't going to be perfect because this is high moisture. This lumber was out on a pile on some old sawhorses out back, so it's not finished grade lumber now. I have some cabinet grade plywood, but I don't know. See, one of these is not a good square cut. How come? Let's readjust that. We're on 0. We're locked. Let's check that. Get it as square as we can. That actually lines up pretty good. Let's see what it does here. Looks like it's this end a little bit. I think it's because there's a split. It's trying to pull apart. But I'm gonna nail this. I might glue it, might do some wood filler. I don't think it's that important. See if that helped. Looks good. Excuse me. All right, so now we got our initial box. So I'll probably do a little sanding on it. It's got paint stuck to it. So this will be our bottom, our end, our side. I think, you know, it'd be nice if this was on the opposite side. I could set that right in, but I might do a top that's larger, overhanging, or we could do the same rabbit on the inside. I think for now, I'll just cut these off probably, because they are on the backward side. I'm just using what we have. So 6 3/4, I'll go to the table saw. Just take our piece, and I don't like the blade up much higher than the wood, just in case you ever had an accident. You're not cutting anything important. Well, I guess your skin's important, but you won't be cutting bone if you ever had an accident. If I had a lot of money, I'd buy a saw stop. They're a little bit too pricey. All right, what did I say that was? 6 3/4, right? All right, triple check, quadruple check. Let's fire this thing up and test it out. We want this on the inside there, so this has to go away. That'll leave us pretty square at the top. And then, like I said, if I want to do a rabbit, I would take that away. But I don't want to make it yet. Just in case I change my mind, I'm on the go making it here. Okay, so there's our initial box. Now we're going to decide whether we want to make a rabbit in it. Alright, back over here on our table, I brought out this little clamp thing I've had. Just a bench top workmate to help hold things, you know. Turn this way. And then you want to put the groove down. And then I'm going to use 18 gauge. I got some 1 1/4 18 gauge brads. The nice thing with the old Craftsman's, so I used to paint the top of the nail. Today's nails are just shiny and they show right up. I used to love these Craftsman nails. I use 1 1/4, probably long enough. And then line these up. I'm a righty, so I'm going to turn this way a little farther. See if I can get this lined up as square as possible. I'm not going to use glue or nothing. And then we'll just work our way around. Now I can probably just sit it on the bench here without it tipping over. Really wish they weren't practicing right now, but getting ready for deer season, you know. So we'll put this one like that. Get it as even as we can. I don't know, that clamp kind of worked good. We'll just do the same thing here. It wants to move on you if you don't have bench dogs. Dawson's got a bench I got him, just a Harbor Freight one, but it's got bench dogs. It holds things still while you're working. But I don't want to go over and use this building. And that one moved just a little. I think we can fix it by standing it up and tapping it. And then like that. I want to keep my edges nice and tight. And then, I don't know, I'm telling you, this thing works pretty good. Get that mounted in there somehow. Maybe this way. A little added hand. I don't hear the blue jay now. But I do hear that. It's not every day. Just seems like the days I want to do a video. You got a blank. Now we can tighten our box up. I don't know, getting these blanks. Put one on this side to help hold it. What's that all about? Hear that? Alright, what do we adjust it on here? Turn this up a little. And then, there's our initial box. We'll put more nails in it as we get going. But I should bring a square out, make sure that's square. Now we can cut our bottom. And we're going to end up being inside dimension 14 3/4, 10 1/2. 14 3/4, 10 1/2 bottom. And we can get that out of those 2 pine boards, tongue and groove. So back over to the little chop saw. See, this groove is all split all the way to there. So let's get rid of that. Now our length was 14 3/4. I'll save my line. 2 of those. And then, the nice thing with the tongue and groove is we can just do this. Now, we wanted 10.5 by 14 3/4. So now we need 10.5. And it looks like we can do it just fine if we do something else. We got 3/4 inch board. We've got our box with a rabbet. That's a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. So that board is a 1/4 inch too thick to fit in here for the bottom. So let's fix that. We can do that on a table saw. I put in the crown stapler, and that was freezing up too. It's kind of cold out here, so I don't know if cold is the reason. So just throwing them in here gives you the idea that, see, they're too thick, they'll stick up. So we need to get rid of a rabbet all the way around, and we need to rip one width. So on this one, I think we can just take the tongue off. We'll do that over here. We can just slide it in place. Get rid of that so it sits down in there. And the easy way on that, if you don't want to measure, I don't mind measuring, but if you don't want to measure, slide it over. And then let's get rid of that. Now this should sit right in there. And then this is a bead board, V-groove, tongue and groove, so the prettier side, I think, is the bead board. This we'll probably put on the inside. I don't know yet. We'll see. But let me show you. We got to take that 1/2 inch rabbet all the way around this stuff. See, I just drew a pencil or pen mark all the way around the inside. So there's my line all the way around, and I did that because you could get confused and do the wrong edge or something, you know, probably, but that's what it is. So it's, you know, almost a 1/2 inch. I got my blade up, so I'm gonna have to make 2 cuts on each one of them. Just get it that way. Now we got to get rid of this. So this should be the same thing. I may not go quite as deep this way, so I want to keep about a 1/2 inch. So about like yay. And now we'll run them in on edge. Leave a little rabbit left. Then we go to put them back together. See our rabbit. So let's set them in the box and see if they fit. And that's a better side, I think, more attractive. We'll put it on the inside. There we go. Now we know we can nail to that rabbit, so I'm going to lean my nail in, which is the crown staple, in just a little bit. Uh-oh, I'm out of crowns. Get another row of them here. I like the lockout feature. I used to put a lot of Luan on floors prior to flooring. Nothing better than a crown staple. Now, we'll do this side. Alright, give her a flipper. No hardware showing. That's great. Now, we'll put a couple on this edge. Lucky was never a very large cat, but she has lost so much weight over the past couple years that she don't weigh nothing now. So there's our bottom. Doesn't look too bad in there. Now let's work on the top. We're going to have to probably do an overlay, right? If we did, I could do a hinge lid. It's going to end up being about 11 1/4 anyway. I could do a hinge lid, but I don't know the reason for opening it. Nobody does that. It's another morbid thing. So if we did a lid that's approximately 11 1/4 by 15 1/2, we could do a rabbit and set it down on there. Here's a scrap piece. We could do pine and pretty up this edge by getting rid of it. We could use the shiplap. I don't know if there's enough of it, because there's a big split in it. I guess there's not enough of it, because if we did another mortise, we could have a hinge lid come down on top of it to seal it from the inside, you know. Let me think of that a second. So I think what I'll do is I got a couple other scrap piece of wood here, and I could cut this with this or something. I could put 3 of these together. I could either do the door, the lid, run in this direction, or the long ways. It makes sense to go long ways. And then on the inside, I could have a strap assembly. That way the lid would be all one piece. So I think I'll cut these to length. What'd I say, 15 1/2? And then I'll cut probably 3 of them. Some of this stuff out of the way here. And I'll save my line again. A lot of times you throw that board up here, each board would get longer and longer, so my better measure them. And see, I'm using better material because that's all water stained. building my pine box. Okay, so now we have 3 of them. Little cocoon thing on there even. So we put these together. What I could do is, we know that the length was 15 and a half, and the width is 11 and a quarter. So if I took 11 and a quarter out of here, I think I could either just rip one board down. I don't really want a skinny one, so I might take off, say, 2 inches off from the outside ones. I probably might want to get rid of that knot. So I'll get rid of the knot on this one. Let me see if I'm doing that right. If I get rid of the knot on this side, that goes away. And if I get that to go away, these two will be on the outside, and this one could be in the middle. You could go like this, that, yeah, we're fine. And that'll get rid of the damaged edge of the lumber. These little pieces are kind of what I need for my underneath. So now, if we come back over here to our little build site, if we put these two together, put this one together, now we got a sturdy top we just need to square up. And then again, there's a pretty side and a not as pretty side. So I'd probably want this side up. And then what I was thinking is, if the inside edge of our box is 9 5/8, and we did say 9 1/2, and its inside is like 14. So if I write 9 1/2, 14, and we could do the same thing, is we could rab it out, or we could set these in and have it so when the lid closes, these would be underneath. The lid would stay kind of square and tight, you know. I think that's what I'll do. And then to make this look even, if I wanted to use the beadboard side up, I need to even this out. So I did, and I drew a line underneath, and we'll rip them now so that each side would look proper. So this side's 2 7/8. Let's just get the beadboard even, you know. Rip that off. This would line up there, and then I marked the bottom of this one, and we got 3 1/2, just to get our beadboard looking even. You guys like to do woodworking? I like it if I have a lot of time, and I wish I had a lot of time, because it's time consuming. Then head back over to our box. We got this, and this. And that should be our lid. No, it's not beautiful on the sides. Another thing I could do is I could put a little trim piece on the side, but I'm not sure I want to do all that. Now, if that's the lid, I need to hook these 3 boards together. And like I said, if we wanted to mortise this much, right where the different color wood is, we could drop the lid down in, and the lid would fit right on and not move at all. Might be the best solution, but it's a lot of cutting. Otherwise, we would do this on the underside. Is that we would take a piece of this at the right dimension inside the box, attach this onto all these, and then it's done. Anytime you mortise tongue and groove, you're getting really thin on some portions. That's why I was considering not doing it. If it was a solid board like this, you mortise and the edge doesn't look bad at all. But this does not look good at seeing any edge of it. So I think this is what I'm going to do. I'll measure the inside of our box, and I'll make this line up around here so that it fits without movement. And our box still needs tightening up a little bit. But we'll measure that up and we'll cut our pieces. Remember, that was 9 5/8. And we're 14. So I think I want it to fit good. I probably could do 9 5/8, but this way I probably ought to do 13 7/8. So 13 7/8 we'll mark down. And then we'll cut a couple strips like this to fit inside. Alright, I'm going to cut these because this has a groove. Make these look a little nicer. I'll cut them to like 7/8 so that they'll both be even. Use a push stick, or you can sometimes come into your cut, lift it out, and do this. Only problem with that is you leave a little edge. I don't want to ruin my good push stick. That's pretty close, but we'll see how smooth this goes. Sometimes a knot will fly up and want to hit you in the nose, so you just got to be careful with it, you know. I was making molding once on the router table, and it had a little knot in it. It was oak, but it had a little knot in it, and I ran it through, and it bit, and it went poof. And it was about might have been a 7-foot long piece. And I had a room, I was under construction, so there's like drywall and stuff all over, and I'm looking around like, I was worried it went through the window. Well, it didn't go through the window, it went through the wall. And when it went through the wall, it went through the drywall. There was no wiring or no insulation, and it was an interior wall. Went through the second drywall and went into the bedroom. Nobody was home, but it was under construction, and you know, it was easy to patch that. But boy, I'm glad I wasn't in the way. Quite a deal. Kickback. You always got kickback you gotta worry about, you know. So the staples I'm using are 1 inch long, and these are 3/4 of an inch. So I probably should do 1/2 inch. So now I need to bring it into 1/2 inch or go find the right lumber in my pile, but we'll make it. And then we'll cut some at 1/2 inch. And these I might flip over because that's about the size of my push stick and I don't want to hurt it. We'll start off with a hard one to knot. Make sure I'm cutting the right edge. This is 3/4. It'll come that way, so. Bring my blade up a little bit. If it's a wider piece, a lot of times I'll rest my fingers out here where you can't move in. On these short pieces, you don't want to put your finger within, a lot of saws are red, but in this case a cobalt's blue. Don't put your fingers in this spot. So I shut her down for that one. Got some little kindling. So now I can put a staple in it. Hopefully it won't split it. There's one. We'll do number 2 here. 7/8 this way. We gotta cut this way, no knot. Finish this off. And I notice if I keep it moving, like you shut your saw off and just kind of move it just a little bit, it won't leave a gouge on the edge, just so the blade's turning, you know. So now we got to come over and figure out where to go with these pieces. We'll start off by making them 9.5 inches. And that way they fit right inside. The way the lid won't be able to move around, you know. And then if they fit like this on this side, because we're going to use a beadboard up, we just got to figure out where they go this way and this way so the whole lid can't move around. So we got to check, make sure that they're 3/4 of an inch thick, which I believe they are. They are 3/4. And then we want to make sure, especially right now, that they fit. See that? The lid won't move much. If it's so tight and they get damp, it's going to swell right up, you know, and it won't fit. So 3/4. Now, I guess what I'll do is I'll measure, like the ends are exact, right? The sides are exact. They're really practicing. Them bullets are expensive. Alright, so I guess what I need to do is do my 3/4 all the way around this. A little mark. Front and back. And then each end. Then put our piece up here, and it should line up right on our marks. And then I'm going to split the difference because I left it just a whisker wiggle, Because if it swells up, it's not going to fit, you know. And then make sure our ends are lined up, which they're not. Slide that a whisker. Slide that a whisker. Pretty close. And then we'll staple this on. Hopefully it won't split on us. Pretty sure I used 1-inch staples, right? I think so. That would be nice if it didn't go through. Alright, and now we do this edge. Ah, you're not in frame. I'm sorry about that. You're in frame now. You see one side. Now, line this up on my mark. I split the difference both ways. Push the tongue and groove together. Looks pretty good. Isn't that a bummer you're not in frame? Staples are a lot uglier than a finishing nail, but they really hold. So now we just take our box top, flip it, and it should fit. See how it doesn't fall off in there? Does it fit down in there good? It should. It should. We measured right. Super close. Oh, the box isn't quite square, so maybe I'll put it back in that clamp a second. Okay, now that I got it a little more squared up. Let's see how she fits. See, the lid isn't going to move around much. So, at that time, which may be close, and we have to put the lid on the box, I think I'll have to decide if I want to, you know, use an air nailer or if I want to use screws. I think I can decide that on that day. The next thing we could do, if we wanted, clean it up a little bit, you know. We could, I don't think I want to sand it because we used the rough side out. How about if we did a little bit of a finish on it? Now, instead of using a stinky stain or something, what if we did this? When you burn it, it naturally preserves wood if you burn it long enough. I don't think I want to make it black. But you can take a post that you're going to put in the ground and do this to it. And it's a treatment. It's a sort of a treatment, you know. I might do the inside and outside. But it makes the grain pop on it too. See the difference? We could have done a nicer job with nicer material. Cabinet grade plywood or something, and out here on the ground on the table that's not level and rocking and a bunch of cordless tools. This is probably going to pass. This is okay. Miters could have been a little tighter, and I could have used glue and clamps and the way you should do it, but that would make a whole day project and we don't have that much time. I might better buy a casket or a box. Well, that's kind of attractive though, isn't it? Brings the grain right out. I think I'll just do the inside the same way. It's not a project I'm proud of, but it's a project that I need to do out of respect. It's not a good kitty. I'm thinking of getting a sheet, a pillowcase or something, and line the box. And if so, I might fold it over and staple it. And I could seal the corners up better. I could do all that, you know. I think when someone passes, I think their spirit is gone, you know. It's not about the box at that point. Plain sawn or quarter sawn, it brings out a different burn mark, you know. Bottom didn't turn out too bad either. Just go with the grain, you know. The longer you stay on, the darker it should get. This only stinks for a minute, where if you did a stain, they're oil based and they stink for 2 or 3 days, and it's on your hands, on the rags, and then it's still probably ought to have polyurethane, and this quick preservative kind of helps. Oh, they're still shooting over there. So now we'll go and do the top. They'll do the whole thing, right? What do you think of the burn technique? Do you like that? Quick way to get some color, you know. Well, I think I'm going to go take a coffee break. I think I'm going to look up, see if I got some kind of interior cloth that we can put in this. Okay, I found a pink decorative kind of towel. I couldn't find anything else that would kind of go right. I put a little dab of hot glue in the bottom to keep the towel in the center. Just fold the ends in for now. Then she can be wrapped up and kept warm. So here's our lid. There's our box. I think this should work out real well. It's not perfect, but if you have a pet out there you'll have to go through this eventually. And I hope you don't think I'm morbid for doing this. I'm thinking ahead. I had a little time to make something. It's not the prettiest. It's a pine box. I could have hinged it, but I don't see the reason of opening it again. And when we need to use it, it'll be ready. I thought about engraving her name on it, but that might be tacky. And we'll have a little funeral like I did with a lab I had. I had a black Labrador. Had him for, I think, 14 years, and I made a box for him when he passed. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next project.